Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to review some projects that I'm going to be working on in the upcoming days. We'll take a look at what came into the shop, a few surprises, and what I have in mind in terms of videos, answering customers' questions and the like. Well, before I get started, if you enjoy these types of videos, if you like to learn about fishing reel service and repair, if you'd like to learn about the manufacturers, who made them, how you work on reels, how they're used, what types of fish you target with them, what's the difference between the designs and reels. So all of those things I try to cover in my channel and try to pass along what I know to you so that, you can do it yourself. That's the whole idea. Keeping reels fishing, giving them a second chance, and passing on knowledge so that everybody can keep their reels running for as long as possible. Well, this episode is brought to you courtesy of Mike. Mike stopped by my house. Mike's a customer of mine. He drops reels off from time to time. And, he's brought me another one. And he said, I brought you a few extras as well. So we'll talk about that in addition to this. So here we go. We have an Ambassador. This is a Abu Garcia Ambassador. This is a 5600 made in Sweden. It's a nice reel, nice generation of the reels. And, we have a problem that is common to round bait casters. It just takes a while for that to retrieve. Well, I think we've seen a little bit of enough. There you go. It takes several turns for that thing to kick in and kick out. That's obviously not a good thing. Almost all of the time when something like this happens, it happens because of dirt and grease and debris in the case. This one's running rough. That's what he said. He said it's got a rough feel to it. It's just not what an Ambassador should feel like. And can I help him out with that? So this is the 6500 C3. I do have a lot of episodes on this version of the reel, but I'll check. Never hurts to do another one. Why do I do more than one of a video on a reel that I may have in my library already? Well, just like you, my skills are evolving over time. Maybe the first video I did, I forgot to mention something. Maybe I went down a little bit of a different path. Maybe it had a little bit of a different issue in terms of why the reel failed. All of those reasons are good reasons to do a second one so that, I don't miss something the second time around. Or maybe it's an opportunity to give you some additional information that I didn't share on the first one. So be patient. If I decide to do one of these as a video, let me know what you think. If you've seen others. Well, he brought me a box of extras. How nice of them. So, people are really nice in their generosity. Well, one of these he brought in. He says he's been using it since he was a kid in Brooklyn. Maybe I would like to try it on my drag washers. And he said this is a product that's by Bostic called Never Seize. And underneath it says anti-seize and lubricating compound. He says he's been using it on his drag washers. Well, I'm going to have to do a little bit more work before I start smearing them up, but I do want to try it. Why not? Never Seize by Bostic, a product that says it's an anti-seize and lubricating compound. If it meets the specs, we'll see what we can do. All right, he also brought me some reels that he said, fix these if you could, get them into your kids program, and teach a kid to fish, and I'd love to do that. So, first one up here is a Solstar. It's the DF70, which means it's a 70 size fishing reel. It has the long cast designation on, which usually means that the spool is tapered so that you can throw it further. And it's a very attractive looking reel, but it's just sluggish. Now, typically what happens with these is it's a single ball bearing construction. This has a designation that says ball bearing with a 4-to-1 gear ratio, and that's usually the problem with these. You get the dried grease and dirt. The ball bearing is up on the pinion, which is fine, but the gears are the ones that bog down. Solstar is no longer in business. It was in business, back in the 90s. This is an example of the 90s, I think, with the casing and all. Went out of business and was resurrected in the 2000s down in South Carolina for a little bit. I believe they joined forces with Pinnacle, and they went out of business in 2009. But the reel works fine enough. It's struggling a little bit, and we'll do a video on this one for sure. brought me a second one. He says, I know you use WD-40 a lot. Here's one you want to try, Kroil penetrant. Well, we may just give this a try and see how well it works. He asked me if I ever heard of it. Of course I've heard of it. That's my soaking oil. I have it in a tin can, and it does a great job. The one thing I don't like about this, or in the can, is the odorant. The odor is just, well, it's overwhelming at times. So we'll see. We'll give it a try versus the penetrating oil that I use. Those of you that watch the video know that my take on penetrating oils is there's not much difference for what I use it for. Now, this one's for loosening frozen metal parts. This might be more than just a penetrating oil. It may be like the Master Blaster and the like. If that's the case, that's probably not what I'm going to be using to clean up things. Alright, it's got a couple more reels in the box here. Let's take a look at them. Here's a Sport Fisher, and what looks like we have the bail issue here. Had a bail issue on a couple of these. It doesn't look like the arm is returning all the way. Typically that means that it's a broken spring. Yeah, it looks like it wants to go back, but it doesn't. It usually means that there's a failed or a broken spring or part in here. Maybe we'll try to do a video on this one. It turns nice and free and easy. If I can get this one onto a pole and into a kid's hands, it's a nice little product to have. Sport Fisher, we've had that conversation from time to time. One of these days I'll get it right. I do believe it was a brand of Kmart, but I could be uncertain on that one. Well, the next one is kind of fun. The next one is a Roddy-Matic. It's the Roddy-Matic 820 version A, I guess. It says this one was made in Japan. This one was also filed down, I'm sure, to fit into a rod holder somewhere along the line. But overall, it's kind of interesting in a couple of regards. It works. That's always interesting. Kind of sort of closes. This looks to be the reason why it sort of closes, because it appears that somebody replaced the bail screw with a series of washers and a screw, hopefully, that has the same tap as the internal. But what happens there is you have a ferrule. Most of these bail screws that go on these trip levers have a smooth side, not threaded, to allow for a free moving of this bail arm. That's not happening here. So the other thing that's interesting about this one is it has a flip switch here for the anti-reverse override. And you don't see that very much. First time I saw it, I almost thought this is one of those that's going to be made in Italy because of the bump that is like Yachetto, but I'm wrong. This one was made in Japan. I think we might take this one apart, see what we can do. We're also going to see if we can't find that screw there. One more that he brought in, and this one is a Quantum Iron Man. He says it's a beautiful reel, turns free and easy, and boy, it sure does. It's a Iron Man 6F, which would put it in the 60 size. The issue that he has here, the Iron Man does not have an anti-reverse. Put it into the anti-reverse mode, same issue. And this is a quantum reel. It's by Quantum Zebco. And what I find often at times is, depending on the anti-reverse that's set up here, it could be quite an easy fix, or it could be a broken part. Always hard to see. I haven't looked at the schematic yet. If this is an early instant anti-reverse, then there's a spring that attaches the override lever that oftentimes shoots off or breaks or gets mangled. And if it's an older school type of a setup with the sawtooth type of an arrangement, then it's just usually stuck grease. But this reel doesn't feel grease frozen at all, so we'll see. All right, well, that's Mike's project that I'll be working on, the 6500 Ambassador C3 with the failing trip lever button, and a couple of reels that if we get these things fixed up are going to make a lot of kids happy and smile in their efforts to learn how to fish. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you do, please like that video. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And while you're in the process of subscribing, hit that little bell. That's the notification. It'll let you know when I'm posting, and you'll be able to see things like, well, what I think of Kroil as a penetrant, I think that's more in the Master Blaster line than it is in the penetrating oil line. You'll see what my thoughts are once I do some work on Never Seas, and you'll see a couple of these reels featured as how to service and how to maintain those reels to keep them fishing for years to come. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I truly appreciate your efforts day in and day out and your career dedication to public safety, and I'll never tire of saying that. Also want to thank all of our viewers, people like Mike who think ahead, who want to help to continue to improve the channel and make us aware of things that, well, maybe we haven't used before, products and the like. Maybe give us a view into some rather unusual reels, and continue to help everybody to learn how to do it themselves, keeping their reels trouble-free, giving them a second chance. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day. Thanks for watching.